Hi guys, I'm going to start with a blank page of notes and just a real quick reminder of when you were in Algebra 1 and you solved some simple absolute value equations. So most of you can look at this problem and know that whatever is inside your absolute value symbols, you can say that x, what was inside, either had to be positive 4 or x, what was inside, had to equal negative 4. And you knew that because if you put a positive 4 in the absolute value bars and then you performed the absolute value on positive 4, you get positive 4. Same thing with the negative 4. If you put negative 4 inside the absolute value bars and you performed the absolute value operation on it, your result would end up being positive 4. So what's going to happen today is you're going to do more complicated absolute value equations and absolute value inequalities. So a couple of things that I want to point out about this really simple problem that we started with. First thing is, there was nothing in front of the absolute value bars. There was nothing behind the absolute value bars when I began talking about what was inside. So our first goal is you have to make sure that there doesn't remain anything in front of or behind the absolute value bars. So basically we're going to get those bars on the left side all by itself. Once we do that, we're going to look inside the bars to its contents. We're going to take out what's inside. We are not going to change it at all. We're simply going to take it outside of the absolute value bars. We are going to set it equal to the positive version of the number that we saw, and then we're going to set it equal to the negative version of the number that we saw on the right-hand side. So 3 things. One is make sure that nothing is in front of it or behind it. Step 2, we're going to take out the contents. Don't change them at all. Just take out what's inside, write them down. Step 3, we're going to use the positive version of what was on the right-hand side and the negative version of what was on the right-hand side. Let's try to apply those 3 steps to these examples down here. All right, so first let me point out here are my absolute value bars. There's a 4 we need to get rid of and a negative 2 being multiplied that we need to get rid of. So get rid of the 4 first. And then get rid of the negative 2. And now you can see on the left-hand side, here are my absolute value bars. There is nothing in the front of it. There is nothing left behind it. We are ready to look inside. Look inside. Notice that inside there's x plus 9. I want you to take that. Take the contents out. Write it down. Do not change a thing. We're going to take that. We're going to set it equal to the positive version of 4.5 and the negative version of 4.5. And then we're going to solve each equation. Notice I took the blue out of the absolute value bars, so now I can easily subtract 9 from each side. take your answers, plug them back in, make sure that they both work. So I'm going to write 4 minus 2 absolute value there's one of them. That's a positive. Okay, so I get 4 minus 2 times just the absolute value of 4.5, which is 4.5. This is 4 minus 9 equals negative 5. Yep, that works. Now check the other one. Now, when you actually absolute value negative 4.5, you get positive 4.5. And turns out that one works as well. So my solution set, MyMathLab probably wants it in the brackets. A lot of times they give us the brackets. It would be negative 13.5 and negative 4.5. Those are my two answers. All right, let's do number 2. This one's a nice one. It's going to work out a little weird. Here are the absolute value bars. Get rid of the negative 2. Okay, now this is interesting. Here are your absolute value bars. There's nothing else in front. There's nothing else behind. We would be ready to take the contents, write them down, set it equal to the positive version of the number over here. Wait a minute, that's not even a positive number. So back up a minute. Here's what this equation is saying. This equation is saying when you absolute value something, we're going to get a negative 6 out of it. That is not possible. You can't absolute value some number and get an answer of negative 6. So this is a no solution. Now, you need to be careful, because just because there's a negative number on the other side of the equal sign does not mean it's always a no solution. Notice here in the one that we did just a minute ago, we had all this stuff on the left, including an absolute value, equaled negative 5. Well, by the time we finished getting rid of all the unwanted stuff outside of the bars, that number that was on the right-hand side became positive. Then we could finish the problem. Okay, let's do number 3. I'm going to draw your attention to the absolute value bars and where your equal sign is. So you can see on the left-hand side there's nothing in front of or behind the absolute value symbols. You're ready to look inside. Here I go. I'm going to look inside. I'm going to take out the contents, and I'm going to write 2x minus 4 is equal to the normal version, the positive version of what was over here. X squared minus 4x plus 1. Okay. I also have to, I took that out and did that. I also have to take this out again. Do not change it in any way. Set this equal to, this is going to be weird, the negative version of the right side. Now let's solve each equation. It's quadratic, so I'm going to set it equal to 0. X squared, let's see, okay, that one worked out nicely. And on this one, I'm going to go 2x minus 4 equals negative x squared, yuck, plus 4x minus 1. It's quadratic. I'm going to set it equal to 0, but this time I'm going to bring everything over here. That is not right. Okay, I got 4 answers. Seems like a lot. I need to check them. Check them. Check them. Plug them back in. Turns out, I believe positive 1 does not work, and positive 3 does not work. So my solution set is just negative 1 and 5. Those are the only 2 numbers that work. Alright, I'm going to stop this video so it doesn't take too long to load onto my website, and then I'm going to do another video on how to find the solution sets for absolute value inequalities. So we're going to flip our paper over to the back.